What's up, guys? Triple Cap here, and this is my new GoPro Hero 7. I'm super happy. It came today. Just ordered it a couple days ago, so I'm really kind of surprised how fast it came. As you know, or if you don't know, my previous GoPro Session 5 has gone up the river with my drone. Obviously, I needed a new GoPro. I thought about getting another Session 5. I know there's some great features with the Hero 7 and 8, so I was kind of a toss-up between those. The price got me on the Hero 7 Black, so that's what I'm using, the Hero 7 Black. So I figured a good way to test it out was to let you know my reactions on these new FPV rules and regulations that the FAA is proposing. And I'm not going to go into depth. I'm just going to give you my basic opinion. Basically, I don't like the proposed rules. I don't like the idea of remote ID. I feel like we're being targeted. Some people say they don't even know we exist. That may be true too. And if it is, they need to know that we exist. They need to know that these new rules and regulations are impacting us. I really feel like that the impact that they will have on us is unwarranted. Majority of the time, we're flying the tops of the trees, or we're flying over, on structures, on buildings that are already just on the ground, and we're flying just above those things. We're not usually flying way up in the air. As far as FPV, freestyle, and drone racing, stuff like that, it should not impact us. We should not be any threat to any aircraft, whether commercial or private or whatever, whether it be a drone or a 747. It doesn't matter. In most cases, we are not impacting that traffic. So I feel like we're being impacted by these new rules and regulations, and I feel like there's no reason for it. I feel like there needs to be some kind of exclusion to FPV pilots. There needs to be some kind of rule to where if you're 50 feet above the tallest structure or tallest tree or whatever, if you're under that distance, then you should not be impacted by these rules. You should be exempt. And I think we need people standing up and fighting for that, and fighting for us specifically in the FPV community, because us FPV freestyle guys, we don't usually go over the tree line. I mean, it's just that simple. We don't. We need a voice, and I'm hoping that we can. I know Rotor Riot's doing this thing with the Freedom Coalition, whatever it is. I've heard words like they're going to regulate us anyway. We need to make sure that we're a part of that regulation, and we can kind of hope that they throw us a bone. I don't like that kind of talk. I understand you want to work with them. I totally get it. You want to work with them to make the punishments or the regulations or whatever as easy as possible, and I get that. I do. But I don't think that's the right fight. I think we do absolutely need somebody there to speak for us, but I think they need to be very careful about how they approach that and what they're saying to these guys. For example, we heard there's going to be a test. So a bunch of people get together and they're like, hey, let us help you do that test. You're helping write your own restrictions. They're not saying, okay, we're not going to restrict you. We're going to say, hey, man, we'll throw you a bone and let you write some parts of the test, or help us, give us some input on what you think should be included in the test. They know absolutely nothing about our hobby, nothing about FPV, nothing about little drones that are 2-pound drones that are flying through the fields and stuff. They don't have any clue about what we're doing. They don't know any. They've never had the goggles on. At least most of them, I guarantee you, have not. And it bothers me that these are the guys that are making the rules for what we're allowed to do. And they're the ones determining what's safe and what's not safe, when they have no freaking idea what it involves. And that really bothers me a lot. So we definitely need a voice in there. And I do appreciate Chad Capper's efforts, and I appreciate Joshua Bixler from Flight Test, and anybody who's trying to get involved in a sense to reduce the impact that it may have on us. I really appreciate that. But we need to do more. We need to do more than just give them ideas and opinions on how this should be done correctly. We need to be asking for exclusion, because we are not going to be impacting drone deliveries or anything else. If there's a drone flying in this field right here, where I always fly, if there's a drone flying in this field, there's something wrong. The point is, we are not a threat. We do not threaten drone deliveries. We're not flying high enough. We're not flying in, most of us don't fly in like neighborhoods down the streets or anything like that. We don't usually do that. We're usually flying in a park, in a field. We may be flying in an empty parking lot. There is very little chance that we would ever be in a situation to where we could cause some kind of public safety threat towards another drone, or causing another drone to crash, or a drone crashing into us and us are falling out of the sky and landing on a crowd of people. We don't fly over crowds of people. We already have rules. We already have safety guidelines. Most of us have common sense that know, hey, these things aren't perfectly safe, but if handled properly, they can be operated safely. If you don't respect that, then you're not going to respect any of these rules anyway, so it's not going to matter. But anyways, my point is, I think we need to, sure, let's be involved with the FFA. Let's hold their hands and let's try and make this as smooth as possible. That's one path we can go, and I guess we should have people doing that, like the Freedom Coalition. We need people that are working with the FFA, I suppose. I don't like the idea. I hate it because I feel like they're throwing you a bone, and you're gonna get that bone and you're gonna like, look what we did, and you're gonna celebrate. But there's no freaking meat on that bone. That bone has been chewed. There's nothing. They've sucked the marrow out of it. There's nothing on that bone, and you're gonna celebrate it, and that's not a victory. I think we need the people rejecting these rules. We need people to stand up for us and voice our anger, our frustration, our disappointment in a system that's supposed to be here to protect everybody and keep everybody safe, but they're actually causing more harm than good by turning innocent acts into criminal acts, or penalties by fines or whatever, whether it be a penalty of a fine or you know, jail time. I don't know if they're going to go that far, but you never know. I really feel like we need somebody out there saying, no, we are not, this should not impact us. We're not a threat. Nothing, there is no evidence whatsoever to support that FPV pilots are a threat to public safety. There's no evidence. Yet I can show you millions after millions of videos of people flying FPV in the most perfectly safe ways, never hurting a soul. There's lots of evidence to support that, and none to suggest anything other. There is nothing, no evidence whatsoever that warrants this type of regulation towards us. I understand they may need regulations for the commercial drones that are going to be flying through the sky. I get that. You're going to want to track them. I get that. Why do you need to know where I am? I'm not even in the sky. I'm in this field. I'm in a park flying around, a swing set where there's no people. Why do you need to know where I am? I'm not happy. I am pretty angry. Am I worried? No, not really. I'm a little disappointed because I know how many people are not going to comply with these rules, and that just makes the rules even more pointless, because there will be massive non-compliance. There already is. Anyone operating over 25 milliwatts with their VTX is already breaking the law. They're already not complying with the ham regulations. You got to have a ham license if you're going to operate over 25 milliwatts. Most of us are already breaking some kind of FAA regulations. Another thing is, I'm out here flying in this open field with nobody around, but the law says I need a spotter. What? So what's he gonna spot? Look out for that dragonfly. What is he gonna spot? It's stupid. The rules don't make sense sometimes, and that's another reason why we need them working with the FFA to point out stuff like that. Look, this doesn't make any sense. Why should this guy be grounded because he doesn't have a spotter when he's flying in a field where there is no risk whatsoever? There needs to be some common sense involved. But most of all, more than anything, we need to protest this. We need to reject it. We need to refuse it, especially us FPV pilots that are freestyling or racing. We need to absolutely 100% reject any regulation on us, because we're hobbyists. Regulations may help in some cases, but in most cases, they don't really do anything, because most people would be operating safely. Who literally wants to be in an accident? Who wants to harm somebody? Who wants to hurt? If there's anybody like that actually wants to do these things and wants to cause property damage or physical harm, that person, if they want to do that, they're going to do it anyway. They're going to, a rule, writing on a piece of paper is not going to stop them. The only thing it really does is it jogs your brain. Okay, we've got to make sure we're safe because we don't want to be penalized if an accident happens. And regulations don't really help accidents either. So I'm not a real big fan of regulations in general, but I do understand the public's cry for them, and I understand the need to have them, especially for commercial services. Tip number 1, charge your GoPro before you decide to go out and test it out. I was at like 25% or something like that. I figured I'd be able to fit this video in there, but I guess not. So I'm on my phone video now. Anyways, back to what I was talking about. I'm not a fan of any regulation at all. I mean, there are laws that prevent misconduct, negligence. There's already laws in effect that hold people accountable if you do something wrong. There's already plenty of laws in place that punish you if you harm someone or someone's property, or if you act recklessly. There's already laws in place. There's a lot of people that are angry, a lot of people that are upset, and a lot of people ready to protest. And I think that is where we should be. That is where FPV pilots should be. We should be making our voice heard. We should be forcing it out over the mountains, over the hills, and all the way to DC, all the way to FAA headquarters, because we should not be impacted by these regulations, because we are not a threat. whatsoever. They have not shown that we are a threat, yet we are being impacted and we are feeling the wrath of our great government. And it's not fair. We're just out here trying to fly. We're just out here trying to have a good time. Where some FPV has done so much for so many people. I know it's done a lot for me. I tell everybody that I meet, FPV is my therapy. It's my chance to get out, step away from my computer. I'm a graphic designer and I'm at my computer all the time. It's a chance to go outside, be one with nature, fly in the, not in the clouds. Not in the clouds. I don't fly in the clouds. I fly on the top of those trees. That's what, 100 feet up? That's max for me. I'm sure some people might go up. Some people are going to do it anyway. I mean, the regulations are going to say what they want. People are going to do what they want. Most people in this hobby that is FPV freestyle or FPV racing, because even FPV racing, you're flying through gates that are, what, 5 feet off the ground? What the hell? As I was saying, protest. We need to reject this stuff. We need to be calling our congressmen, our senators, our mayors, our school teacher. We need to be calling everybody and being like, look, do you know what's going on? Do you really? We need to spread information. We need to march to freaking DC. We need to be holding up signs. Somebody mentioned flying kites. I think that's a great idea. Big kites with pictures of drones on them. FPV is not a crime. Drones are not a crime, whatever. They need to know that we exist. There are millions of us. I think there's millions of us. There might not be millions. Oh, maybe an over. I don't know how many of us there are, but there is a lot. And there's enough to the point that we should be able to get together and unite to reject this bullshit. Because that's all it is utter freaking bullshit. There is no reason for the FFA to need to know where I am at any point ever in my life. Ever. You don't need to know. There's no point in it. There's no reason for me to be broadcasting my data or my location or anything like that for anyone to intercept. There's no point in it. I am not a threat. You are not a threat. What I do know is that FPV pilots are not a problem, and we should not be treated as if we were one. We need to let them know how we feel. Every state has a representative. Reach out to that representative. Express your frustration. Keep it as civil as possible because, civility goes a lot farther than anger will. But at the same time, you need to express that anger as well. Anyways, guys, that's it. Main reason I came out here was to test out my new GoPro, which is dead now, so I'm using my phone. But I also wanted to share my opinion on this FFA crap. I think it's garbage, and I think there's a place within the FAA that we can work. That's not the route I want to take. I don't want to compromise. Nothing that they have shown warrants us to the point where we should compromise. They have proved nothing. They haven't proven that we're a threat. And there's so much other evidence to suggest that we are not even close to a threat. We have evidence to back us. Every flight where you've taken off and landed and didn't kill anybody, didn't hurt anybody, didn't damage anyone's property. Every single pack that you've gone through and it didn't hurt anyone or damage anybody's property, that's evidence to support how safe we are. There's more evidence supporting our safe operation than there is to suggest otherwise. Matter of fact, there's very, very, very little evidence to suggest that FPV drone pilots are in any way a public safety threat at all. So, that being said, guys, I'm sorry if this is kind of long. This is one of my rants that I go on every now and then. Make sure y'all comment on those FFA regulations. Try to keep it civil, but let them know you're upset too. The whole point of this video is to say that I would like to push more towards protests than working with the FAA. I'm not saying that there's not a place for us to work with the FAA. Sure. I just don't see that as a very fruitful path. Even if they've said, okay, if you're flying under 100 feet, you're exempt. I'm okay with that. That's one compromise I think I'm okay with. Because I seldom fly over 100 feet. By the way, before I get off here, all my parts for my drone came today except my GoPro holder mount thingy. So I'm going to be back in the air soon. Let's quick, get FPV, man. You order something from them and it's like, boom, at your door in 3 or 4 days. All right, guys, I'm going to get off here, go home, throw a little video together. Let's make our voices heard. Let's reject this bullshit. All right, guys. Till next time, Caps out.